If you knew me before, you wouldn't even look my way.
And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Sean Daly and the Shams. Wow. Like, first thing right off the bat, right? There's this misnomer about the music that you have, right? Because it sounds like it would be easy to play. But when you listen to the progressions and how many notes that you have to hit and going and going and going, that's impressive.
And all the lyrics.
Yeah. Right?
Without a tablet.
Not to be outdone.
So how'd you get started in music?
Myself?
Yeah.
I started with bands in about 2006, 2007.
Uh-huh.
And I was doing cover bands and doing all American rock and all that. But then I always wanted to do Irish rebel music because I come from the north of Ireland.
Yeah.
You know, so I was trying to get musicians to do it and I could never get them to do it. So I ended up moving back to Ireland and getting a guy from Italy and a guy from New Zealand to play rebel music. So then I kept it going, yeah. So then I moved here to Portland and lucky enough, friends of friends, we all met each other.
And I can appreciate so much the idea of rebel music as well. Because, like, I remember, so, like, I'm Irish myself. And I remember
No way.
All of the historical aspects that I thought was right. But then you talk to people from Ireland and you realize that the story is way more complex. Mm-hmm. And what the British government put you all through was a bunch of horseshit.
Well, it depends on what part of Ireland you're talking to people from, you know.
Okay.
Because you have Free Staters.
You want to get a little closer to the microphone.
Because you have people from the Free State of Ireland, you know what I mean? They don't care about the troubles, you know.
So we need to define some of that. The Free State is really kind of what people think of as like, can you turn your phone on?
Okay,
perfect. Free State is basically what people think of as Ireland and the EU. Right? And Free Staters specifically.
There's people in the 26 counties because they were given the Free State.
And they don't think about the North. They really don't. And that's another thing. Like, I'm Irish by heritage, not by affiliation. Yeah. Right. And so we don't even know how to talk about it. Like, just being in this band and being with Sean, learning how to talk about the North. No one says Northern. It took me a long time to stop saying Northern Ireland. It's the North of Ireland. And the Free Staters, people don't realize, like, they just kind of said, whatever. Bummer, you're stuck in the North. And there's a completely different culture. And it's this realization through Sean and through people from the North that we've interacted with through being part of this scene. Even our music, like, there's no other band doing what we do on the West Coast.
Oh, 100%.
And even saying that, there's not really many other bands doing what we do in the whole of the United States.
Well, you have the travel from Ireland, you know. Yeah. We have a song there, it's called Take It Down from the Mass. That's about telling about the Free State, you know. So we can do that, obviously, in a few minutes. We could
Sure.
Yeah.
Do that, so let the people know what the Free State means, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people understand that and sort of get there, right? Because, like, a huge part of the culture of Ireland is not really talked about.
No.
And it's a shame, really, because it's such a beautiful country and beautiful people.
Well, that's why there's a band now and they're taking off big time. They're called Kneecap. They're from West Belfast. But they started the Irish language, you know, because we weren't taught that in school, you know. If you were speaking Irish in the 80s, you were classed as a terrorist. You know, so now, since it's all brought back now from generations, you know what I mean? So it's all coming back now big time. You have to have an Irish degree now to get into college.
Yeah.
Well, you also understand from a global perspective, like, this isn't unique to the Irish. This happened to
Native Americans,
Gaelic and Celtic and Palestinian and Native American. In the west of France, you have a large Gaelic population.
Yeah.
Their language is forbidden by the French government.
Yeah.
And so this is normal. We talk about it and sing about it in all of our songs because it needs to be talked about. Americans don't even understand why the Irish support a free Palestinian state.
Yeah.
Because, and I hate to get too political, but this is literally what we do. Americans have been fed Zionist propaganda for ages. And the Irish we identify very closely with the Palestinians because of
occupation,
fascism, the idea of a lesser people.
And the propaganda that promotes what's happening there, right? Like you're also subject to, oh, well, us taking over your country is actually in your benefit or is the right thing to do.
It's
we hear a lot of
colonialism.
that with, it's exactly. And you see a lot of that with Palestine too. Like the whole, let's just redevelop it and turn it into some luxury apartments is like, there's a lot of propaganda that's making people think that's actually a good idea. And so part of it is like fighting against that rhetoric and that propaganda.
Yeah, for example, yesterday I seen a book. It was from 1927 or 1937, and it showed all the countries in the world.
Yeah,
and Palestine was on that, and there was no Israel. You know what I mean? The guy went down. You could see, Portugal and all these countries, and Palestine was there. And I went to there was Iceland, Italy. There was no Israel, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was kind of. But anyway, we're here to talk about our own music.
I mean, our music is interwoven with politics.
Yeah.
We often say we are anti-fascist, we are anti-colonialist, we are anti-foreign occupation, and it doesn't matter what that looks like. The challenge for us as a band is getting to be meaningful. Like we want to play music that matters and not just play music. Because like Sean said, we all started playing music that wasn't ours. Cover bands and things like that, but it doesn't have the same impact, doesn't have the same meaning. And so we end up in this situation where, for example, on St. Patrick's Day, we're playing to a very large crowd at a festival, and we're just like, fuck the Nazis.
Yeah.
And that needs to be fucking said.
Yeah.
Like, fuck the Nazis. There is no place for that in this world. And we're dealing with that in Palestine. We deal with that. Look at all the recent elections, right? Both New Zealand, Australia, Canada, they're all voting against hard right wing right now.
Well, and it's also like, so to answer your question about how we got into music, like I'm a teacher, right? I teach GED adult education, and part of that curriculum is history and a tiny bit of world history, but not much. And as somebody who was really akin to picking up languages and who wasn't a math person, I wasn't a big reader. And so history classes were always really boring for me.
Yeah.
Like I just kind of memorized a bunch of facts about a bunch of white presidents that I don't care. I'm 16. Like I don't care about Teddy Roosevelt. I don't care about George Washington. And along the way, like you find some stories that are inspirational. Like Teddy Roosevelt actually did some pretty cool things. That's nice. Check. Okay, there's a president I can like reference on Jeopardy. But for me, it's like, I don't know a lot of the history of Ireland because I didn't learn any of that in school. And so to get to have an entrance into a history that is part of my heritage, because I'm also Irish, my dad's side, it's a really sort of lighthearted, lower stakes, more interesting and engaging way to expose the St. Patrick's Day crowd who don't know anything. A lot of them are just like, oh, shamrocks and beer
Drinking
and
holiday.
Guinness. And like,
Lucky Charms.
that's what I know about the Irish culture, is that it's drinking. And it's like, well, okay, come hear our little spiel about this song before we play it. And that like the famine wasn't a famine. It was part of genocide. And you go, what? Like
intentional genocide.
That happened? And then all of a sudden you've piqued an interest there. And so I like how our music becomes sort of a gateway, if you will, to learning more in a low stakes, sort of like more fun and engaging way, because you're hooked on the song.
Yeah.
Then you're like, we have people texting us like, what do these lyrics mean? And oh, what's that one in Irish that you do? And what's the history of that? And I'm like, here we go. Like, here's a gateway for you to actually learn about some of the history. And that's an exciting piece of it for me as an educator.
And I think that's the most important piece of music in general, is when music can not only embrace a culture, but help people bring people into a culture they may not have the ability to access. And
or the interest. They don't even know that they're interested until they're like, that's a thing that happened? Oh, I got to go Google that. And now you're in the rabbit hole of learning.
Well, it's not even that. We're a high energy band. So, people don't listen to the lyrics. They just go with the energy. Do you know what I mean? Compared to now, we're doing a big festival now, a big Celtic convention in Vegas. There's going to be 30,000 Celtic supporters. So
I'm going to be there for that. So,
so that's going to be a different. It's going to be a different crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not even going to be singing the choruses.
They know the words.
They're going to know every word. So you can't. I'm going to say the word today is Sunday. You can't fuck up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to know all the lyrics because they're going to be like, man, you sang the wrong word. That was the wrong chorus.
Yeah, and then you just lost all
And
your
they'll know.
credibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
But
so
no pressure.
pressure's for tires.
I love it.
That's why we're rehearsing on a Sunday, because we need to put in the work.
So why did you decide Portland of all places? Was there something here that just sort of called to you?
Well, my wife, her family lived here. Yeah. So we came here. You know, we moved here 2 weeks before COVID.
Oh, wow.
You know.
Oh.
So then it was lockdown. So it was kind of like, right, how do I make Bloody Marys?
Yeah.
You know, how do I get drunk at 11 o'clock in the morning? You know what I mean? To get through this beautiful day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I moved to Portland 2019. Yeah. So then I was trying to get music going and trying to get it going, but it was a nightmare trying to get proper musicians. You know what I mean? I actually played in the garden for like 6 months until Troy jumped on board and he knew all the songs. So it was kind of like, right, you know all the songs. I'm going to start booking shows. So you're in what? How long? A month, maybe?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I was in a month when we played in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So the way this works, it's kind of a fun story. So Sean's looking for musicians and he's connecting with folks and he's got this little group and they didn't really.
I think there were more magicians.
Yeah, they were. That's a longer story.
Yeah.
But a good mate of mine is Glaswegian, and we met. I front another Irish band, and Helmut is part of that band. And we play different Irish music on purpose because I never felt like I had the credibility to sing songs from the North. Right, like singing rebel tunes. It's authentic. If you have life experience, if you grew up during the
It would be like us playing a Native American drum
or
circle.
like gangster
you
rap.
should probably have a Native American in
Yeah.
that, you know?
I feel that way with people in White Sage, right? White Sage is a closed practice for Native American culture. My grandmother is Native American on that side of the family. And the reason she fell in love with my grandfather, who was Irish, is because they had that kinship of colonialization. And they understood and spoke that same language. They knew what it felt like to be told, you can't speak your own language in class.
Eurocentrism.
Yeah.
So long and short, connected with Gary.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, who's looking for a musician?
Yeah.
And he goes, I know a guy. And he connected me to Sean. We talked on the phone for like 10 minutes. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I showed up and it was raw. It was really raw.
It was like a load of cats in the garden.
But it's perfect because I was looking for a way for myself to grow.
Cats in the garden.
Yeah. I've been playing guitar for ever and ever and ever. And I wanted to play a lead instrument. So I really wanted to play mandolin. And so I showed up that first day. I'd never played lead in a band, been playing the mandolin for years. And I showed up, and next thing I know, we're playing a gig about a month later. Sean invited me down to San Francisco to play with the Old Shams, the band that was based out of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Then it just kind of grew. People love the energy.
When you have Moot on, he's here. He's just on a Zoom call, but you brought Moot, right? And maybe that's
yeah. So
right
what
up.
happened?
So we can see Mute. Can we see
Yeah,
that,
sure.
Ryan?
Well,
Yeah.
the camera's
So
up there, so he can kind of see.
Yeah,
no, he can
It's
see.
okay.
Actually,
the way I got
don't
in the
wanna-
band was Troy said, "Hey, my drummer knows the songs and he can fly for free." So that's how I joined.
And so Helmut and I are in our other Irish band, but we had a great drummer, but it wasn't his priority. And it's a friend of Sean's, like known him for forever and ever. And at the end of the day, it was like, it wasn't going to stick. And I said, look, I got a drummer. And so we flew Moot in. He basically picked up all the songs. The songs he didn't know weren't a stretch. Irish music is pattern based. So like he was able to pick that up. And we had a fiddle player at the time.
Yeah.
And she is awesome. She actually didn't fit our band, especially because we wanted to play so much. So I actually added her to our other band. We play 1 gig a year. And then we went looking for like the right pieces.
Yeah.
And it took us some years. We've had some really amazing. Our former guitar player, Matt, who deserves mention, really helped Sean build the foundation. And Matt has a top job. And he also loves playing a very different style of music. He's like John Prine, finger picking style. And he said, hey, I think now's a good time to transition out. And we added Josh, who couldn't be here today. But now it's like, what does this look like?
We have the foundation now. We have everything locked in. You know
and
what I mean?
We're recording a lot. We're releasing a new recording in about 3 weeks. So Got a new EP coming out for the big event in Vegas. We just cut a new album this past year called Saoirse, which in Irish is freedom. And it's just songs, and there's like the histories are interwoven into that. So in the short time I've been in the band, 3.5 years now, 3 recordings.
That's short.
It's pretty short.
I've been in the band for
short compared to Lauren.
6 months.
Yeah, we've done a lot of shows now. We've played East Coast, New York, Philadelphia.
We'll go to Ireland this
Boston.
year.
Headed to Ireland with 35 fans. It's pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I don't know if they're going to be able to stick it out with us. We'll see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can they keep up?
Yeah. There's no returns.
That's why we have one day. That's why we have a day off in between in that tour.
Yeah.
Just so people can catch a flight home if they want to.
Just so they can get
dead.
some sleep and like put their feet up. Like, I mean, they'll be on the bus a lot.
Or they can get a boat. Yeah.
Yeah, they can get away from us for a day.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to be around you guys for that long, so we're going to figure that out.
Yeah.
And one of the songs that I heard recently was the one that was on Instagram with that whole family on stage.
That would have been, was that Celtic?
Yeah.
That was fun. That's an awesome song.
Yeah. That's a great tune. Yeah, I was hoping the Wolf Tones.
It's one of our favorites to play.
That's going to be on the new EP.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that idea?
For which
it's not our song.
Okay.
It's a Wolf Tone song, and it's really synonymous with Celtic Football Club.
Okay.
But not a lot of bands play it. Like you'll hear people chant it and sing it, and everyone knows the words. We were just watching the Facebook video a couple weeks ago. Everyone is singing the tune while they're in the pool
party, in Vegas,
really
And that's honestly because I love that song because
of the
biggest
toilet ever.
The energy that song gives to the audience it's contagious, right? So like to get you just start it and the people who know it are like, here we go, and they start jumping up and down. And so at this convention, like I'm not a big soccer fan. I don't know much about the convention or the team. I obviously now know the songs that we're going to do for it, but watching that video and seeing like a whole crowd of people singing that song, like, oh my God, like this is what it's about. To bring that kind of magic to them and to play songs that they're like ingrained in their souls as these diehard soccer fans. I'm like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I can't wait to empty that swimming pool. Swear to God, I'm just going to throw a Snickers into it. You ever see 30,000 Celtic supporters getting out of a pool yet?
Oh, that would be epic.
Yeah.
And you'll be there for that, so you get to see. Yeah, that'll be a good time.
Maybe bring a 6-pack of Snickers. Yeah.
Avoid the pool, Sean. You have the insider knowledge now. Don't get in the pool.
No, I'll just wait to jump in until after you throw in the Snickers just to really creep people out.
And then just go in and just jump in and eat it. Yeah.
Nutty.
Chlorine. Delicious.
So do you want to hear a song or do you want
please.
Yeah. So do you want to hear Take It Down from the Mast? You want to do that one or
Celtic or both, or we have some originals too.
Celtic is not what I'd like to play on the guitar, but
so normally he's on mandolin, but Josh is our guitar player, so he can switch between the two.
Helmut's going to play the drums, is he? Yeah.
You're going to drum remotely?
Yeah, I'm going to pound on my couch.
Just get a pizza box. I know somebody else who's notorious for.
I actually do have a snare right here. Wait, there's a little vodka thing. Hold on, let me take that off.
There you
but
go.
I do have a snare
to play to a drum click through the computer.
I don't think that you're going to get lag. Don't even bother.
Don't bother. Right? Yeah, just sing with us.
Take a song.
Oh, you mean when I talk?
Take it down. There's no solo.
You don't hear me?
Yeah. Ready?
We'll see.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Take it down
From the mask, Irish traitors, it's a flag we Republicans claim. It can never belong to Free Staters. You've taken nothing but shame. To leave it to those who are willing to uphold it in war or in peace. The men who intend to do killing until England's tyranny cease. So take it down from the mask, Irish traitors. It's a flag we Republicans claim. It can never belong to Free Staters. You brought on us nothing but shame. You butchered young brave Liam and Rory. You butchered young Richard and Joe. Your hands with their blood are still gory from doing the work with the foe. Well, we stand with Wright and Larkin and Daly and Sullivan the bold. We'll bring down the English connection and take back the country you stole. So take it down from the mask Irish traitors. It's a flag we Republicans claim. It can never belong to Free Staters. You brought on us nothing but shame. So take it down from the mask Irish traitors. It's a flag we Republicans claim. It can never belong to Free Staters. You brought on us nothing but shame. Yep. No. Usually we have about 7 solos there, but
Yeah,
I was trying to play. Actually, I was trying to play the snare. There's an actual snare right here. I was doing very Beatles stuff, John Ringo thing, but might not be appreciated here. But okay.
It feels like somebody's banging your screen door.
Yeah, it sounds like you have an angry cat.
Hey, I make a drum out of anything.
With that song there, are you talking about the country's flag?
What do you mean? Sorry.
So, like with the lyrics there, were you talking about?
From the mash, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, take it down from the mast. It means
What does that mean?
You're asking the wrong man.
That's fair.
Well,
It's like telling them to take it down. We've only one flag.
Okay.
You know.
and the flag is not the tricolor.
Yeah.
Like so many people think of the tricolor as the national emblem.
Yeah.
And it was made the national flag of Ireland after the 1990 Good Friday Agreement. But the true flag of Ireland is the harp. It's the Ire flag.
Yeah.
It's a green flag.
Aaron
with a
Gobra.
yellow
That's
heart.
united. That's 32 counties. That's a free Ireland. Ireland as a country has never been free. Ever.
800 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's more than that now. But it is just, it's crazy. So the tricolor, it's universally recognized for Ireland now. And you understand the historical idea, right?
Yeah.
Catholic is green, Protestant is orange, white is the proposed peace between them. And there is no peace in the North because the North is still occupied. There's still young men targeted by British military forces. We're not even talking about police. We're talking about military occupying cities in the north of Ireland.
Well, the
It's
British
not
want,
free.
yeah, the British want to leave. They want to leave. They're spending so much money. They want to leave the north of Ireland, but they can't because you have the loyalists, you know, the Protestants that don't want them to leave, you know. So that's
Because they will get targeted.
That's so confusing to me.
yeah.
Well, it's like the fallout of any occupation or colonization. I mean, look at Africa.
Look at India.
You look at how
Africa,
black people are fighting black people and like, oh, well, like they're just not civilized and how barbaric. It's like, no, like if you had never come in and colonized and like divided people and starved them out and made it about telling them that this guy over here is your enemy, like these are the consequences of genocide and colonization. You see it with Native Americans in the US, like, oh, they're all alcoholics and they die at 45. Well, yeah, like actually killing yourselves as a people is like the last step of a genocide. So you look at the history there and it's similar. Like it's so complicated. The English came in and created such a complicated problem that now they're, you know, you're screwed if you do, screwed if you don't. Like somebody will still suffer for another century, no matter no matter what your action is at this point, because you've been fucking it up for so many centuries. Like here we are.
Yeah.
So that's.
Well, it's just the rich are getting richer and the poor have to suffer, you know. That's the way it goes. Civilians.
I mean, millions of Irish died because of
yeah.
that. We're still talking about the same shit for 2,000 years. It hasn't changed. Look at this country right now. It's all about the wealthy.
Yeah.
Has nothing
And it's
to do.
all about the wealthy pitting poor against
Yeah.
poor. It's a very, very effective distraction.
Yeah, and they talk about this in all of former British colonies as making access to drink cheap.
Yeah.
You know, how come the Irish haven't taken over the world? It's like the most overplayed joke ever. Well, because of whiskey, right? Cheap whiskeys kept the Irish. And there's jokes about that. When John F. Kennedy got inducted as the president of the United States, he had, who was the band, the Clancy Brothers, played his inauguration. And they said, well, finally us Irish are getting up. Like, because for so long, and people want to just talk history. We talk about Nina laws, and people didn't believe they exist. And Nina laws are no Irish need apply. They were called Nina laws. Businesses would hang these in the windows. Wow. And this is it. And there's also this cultural reference, but like Mexicans now are the new Irish. And the Irish ingratiate themselves in the positions no one wanted. When the Irish came to New York, they became cops and firefighters. They didn't have unions back then. They didn't have protections. They were just the worst jobs on the planet. So they became cops and firefighters. They organized, they unionized. A lot of the reason why we have workers' rights in this country is because of the Irish. And that's not to say that the Irish are the only like impactful immigrant population.
Yeah. And to immediately assume that like, oh, but the Irish didn't experience X, or the Irish didn't experience this because of skin color, whatever. That's exactly the pitting against that colonialism aims to instigate in people. That is the pitting poor against poor. And so if like a listener's mindset goes, well, but I know Mexicans and that's just not the same. You're falling into the trap.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's all the same shit in different flavors.
And history just repeating itself. Palestine now is the new Australia. Australia was a penal colony. It was the worst place on earth. We sing songs about it.
Yeah.
And now Palestine is the largest penal colony in the world. Palestinians can't leave. Just read an article about a Palestinian family's child getting murdered by a Zionist here in the United States because they were Palestinian.
Yeah,
it's all about rhetoric, and it's all about pitting and us versus them mentality. It's religion. It's all of the things that create civil discourse. It's a terrible thing.
And you should be proud to fly your own flag, you know what I mean? Nowadays, people don't even want to fly their own flag in this country. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to be an American right now. It's shameful. And you can't, and again, we just pit each other against each other.
We'll all put up Colombian flags.
You can't say you're a Christian in this Judeo-Christian country. You can't say you're a Christian and then wish the downfall of someone else. That's like the opposite of religious teaching, right? But we do. It's the same thing with Islam. No true Islamist wants the downfall of another people. These are all jihad ideas, and they exist in all real religions. So we get into the money, we get into religion, we get into pitting the working class. It's a lose-lose for everyone until we start like waking up. And America, we're not great at waking up. That's been one of our biggest challenges as a country.
Well, I'm nearly here for 30 years, you know what I mean? And I swear to God, I can't believe it. Like there's nearly half a billion people here, and they have clowns running the place. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, wow.
That's got to be a huge culture shock.
Oh, it's big time. Well, every country's the same. They're running by clowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even Ireland. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Well, the weird part in this country too, and I learned from personal experience. I ran for office once and came 6,000 votes short. And my downfall is I wouldn't play the fool's game. And if you're not willing to play the fool's game, you're not going to win.
You're not invited to the table.
So the fools run everything here because you need to be a narcissistic fool who can lie in order to win.
Yeah. The
game is sort of rigged that way, and it's sad.
Mm-hmm. Helmut, have you any questions to say since you're from Colombia? Have you anything to say here?
The right narcissistic motherfuckers are running Colombia right now. No, I'm sorry, the leftists. But it's neither party is right. We need to work with each other.
We do. We need civil discourse, and we need centrism.
Yeah. And we need to be able to embrace people from all sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. It makes us a better, like, embracing Palestinians. I love this band, and you don't get to see here Josh today, Sean, but Josh is Native American and Irish. Mm-hmm. Helmut, our joke is that he's 1% Irish, he's 99% Colombian, but Helmut is a Colombian national. He's playing this music because it means something, right? Lauren has a very, very diverse background. I am like, Sean and I could be cousins genetically, but I've been here for 9 generations. Yeah.
Hey, so, no kissing.
It's just that whole, the idea is that everyone adds their color. Everyone adds their culture, their personality. I want to live in a place that looks like the United Nations, not that looks like everyone looks like me. It doesn't benefit me.
And I just want people to be able to have freedom. Like at the bare minimum, shouldn't care. It shouldn't matter what your skin color, what your religion, what your creed is. Everybody should be able to be free and live their happiest
We
lives.
all go into the same hole.
Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
you know what's fun, because I feel like a lot of friends and colleagues I have who are really feeling disenfranchised and abandoned by DEI policies that now just seem like they were marketing schemes, and that there's not really any like meat and fight behind that, because when the money comes down to being threatened, it's like, well, we'll do whatever we need to do for the money. And a lot of people just feel like, what can I actually do? What can I do? Like, I can go protest in the street. Okay. Like that's a thing I can do if I have the privilege to miss work or like have childcare or whatever that looks like, and possibly get tear gassed and arrested. Okay. I have time and bandwidth for that. But what can I really do? And like coming back to the music, for me anyway, this is just such a fun and effective and unique way to have a political stance and to take a stand in a way, again, that makes the rhetoric and a little bit of the history too in the context of Ireland, but really bringing it up to present day, what we're dealing with, like the conversation we're having in the United States, and feeling like this makes a difference in its own little way, right? And I think that that's really important. Like if people feel like they want to have a creative outlet to express their frustration or to express their excitement about politics or to express what we think we should be doing as a country, whatever. Like it's one thing to sit around and talk about it, and it's like, okay, we're just going to keep going about our lives because that's all we can really do. But to have this avenue to explore it's, at least for me being new to the band and new to performing in general, I'm like, I can't think of a better way to express creativity and also introduce people to the idea, like to yell fuck Nazis on stage with a bass in my hand is like, that just hits so much differently than walking around on a street. Not that there's anything wrong with protesting, but walking around with a sign that says that, to me, I'm just like, meh, it's been done. It's always been done. And so has the music, but it just feels more effective and punchy and powerful to get to do it on a stage. Like what a privilege we have to.
So basically, if you're listening to this, go start your own rebel band.
Go start a rebel band. Go be Rage Against the Machine.
And you
And
get
by
a
the way,
free spray.
actually read the lyrics before you think that you know
Rage
what
Against the
about.
Machine,
Irish
System
accent
of a
spray in
Down.
Walgreens.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cheap.
Get a translator to
Reach
like
out
Sean.
to me if you want to know some rebel songs about the world. Back to you.
Thanks, Moot.
Why is he here again?
To make us all look better. Shh.
Hey, my
Another
5
song.
o'clock shadow is really coming through.
Bring it in.
Yeah.
Do you
You
want
want
to
to
bring
bring
it
it
in?
in?
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing?
Let's talk about the song.
Okay, go ahead.
So part of creating songs in this genre, you can do it one of three ways, right? You can take someone else's song and rewrite the words, and we do that, which is really fun. And Sean's connection and our kind of heroes is a band that came through the Troubles called the Irish Brigade. And Jerry, who founded the band, he was a master at this. And so he has some tunes that if we started playing those songs and we do cover them, they're recognizable mainstream songs. And the other way to do it is to kind of write songs about the culture. And so Scotland and Ireland have a lot to tie together around this kind of like mystical, magical, druidic, right? Like history. And so Ireland has a place called Tirnanog, and it's kind of like the edge of the Vale. It's the fairyland. Scotland has another place very similar called Brigadoon. And so we also pay kind of homage to Scotland being closely related to Ireland through the song. Sean grew up in Glasgow. And so he spent a lot of time there, especially his teenage years. That's where the love for Celtic comes. And so I was working on this tune and I wanted to write a song that kind of had meaning and like this idea that we could get past that simple conflict of like us versus them, right?
Yeah.
Brigadoon, the history of Brigadoon from the Scottish storytelling is that it's a magical place. There's no war. There's no crime. There's nothing. It's utopia, but it only shows up one day a year every 100 years. So it just comes up one day every 100 years. And so I wrote this tune kind of with that idea. It's this magical place where there is no war, And we want to, if only we could make this, as in the world or Ireland or Palestine or doesn't matter, insert occupied territory, insert fascist regime here, it would be this song. So it's Brigadoon. And we've gotten a really, really positive response from this tune. So, you ready?
Yeah.
You rise out of mist, a visage or a dream, magical place we've never seen. And if we're to find peace and give up every dream, face the one we love, we must believe. And Brigadoon will be home soon. It's like we never left. Your name is our breath. We sing a rebel tune. And Brigadoon will be true. Your name is on our lips. Fight to hold our grip. You've got away too soon. It's been 100 years and a day. War with myself, at war with you. And what can freedom buy? Yet taken away. Back into the mist from whence you came. And Brigadoon will be home soon. It's like we never left. Your name is our breath. We sing a rebel tune. And Brigadoon will be true. Your name is on our lips. Fight to hold our grip. You've got away too soon.
Can freedom break the spell? Or will the fates rebel? What to do to make it right? The magic of this life.
And Brigadoon will be home soon. It's like we never left. Your name is our breath. We sing a rebel tune. And Brigadoon will be true. Your name is on our lips. Fight to hold our grip. You've got away too soon. You rise out of mist, a visage or a dream, magical place we've never seen. And if we're to find peace and give up every dream, face the one we love, we must believe. And Brigadoon will be home soon. It's like we never left. Your name is our breath. We sing a rebel tune. It's like Brigadoon will be true. Your name is on our lips. Fight to hold our grip. You've got away too soon. Your name is on our lips. Fight to hold our grip. You've got away too soon. It's like we never left. Your name is our breath. We sing a rebel tune. Free the people.
Love it. Things that I have always said is
There you go.
On
Appreciate that. I'm sure that sounded awesome.
Did you toss a load of cans there?
Are you collecting cans?
I was actually playing an upside down snare drum. Thank you.
Love it. I thought you tripped
Shams
over all your
first.
white claws.
I don't think any band's ever done that, honestly.
No, never.
No,
I love it.
And now I know why.
I know there was a couple of pauses there, like it's just like the video pause. I was like, oh, I'm off time. Boy, gotta get back on time. It's all right. I trust Judge Troy's rhythm. So.
And how did you get started into music, Troy?
It's a good question. Also kind of harder for me to answer. So I will guess I'll go all the way back. I was adopted at 2 weeks old and kind of grew up understanding that I was adopted and then kind of missing. I knew there was something missing. And then when I found like kind of my family at around the age of 18, my court documents were open. I learned.
Troy,
I was Irish.
you gotta tell them your Mexican part though.
Okay, so it is kind of funny. So I grew up in Arizona, and I get really tan, like dark tan. And I thought I probably have some Hispanic culture. And I grew up on the border. I was pretty fluent in Spanish as a little kid. All my friends were Hispanic. And so I thought I was Mexican, like legitimately. I knew I obviously had like some white in me, just my look. But I learned when I took my DNA test.
European Mexican.
No, there's no Mexican in my family at all. At all. The tan part comes from I have like 1/100th Hawaiian, and for whatever reason I have the genetic where I can get tan. There you go, Helmut. I told the story. Long short,
you gotta tell
I
about your
found out I was
tattoo.
Irish. Oh, shut up, man. No one cares.
Music, not
That's the
tattoos.
next podcast. That's part 2.
Yeah, there you
Get
go.
over
Okay.
tattoos.
So, long and short, Boondock Saints kind of came out at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love this movie. I now identify I have some Irish heritage. Just started learning about it. I'm 19 years old. I'm like young and impressionable. And then my next door neighbor was in an Irish band. So I started going and sneaking into the bar and watching them play. And they did like all of the kind of traditional drinking songs, right? Like 7 Drunken Nights and It's All For Me Grog. And it was all up tempo and fun.
Was this Chris?
This is the American Wave
Oh,
and my
okay.
good friend Chris. And so I got into the music, like really into the music. And I started listening to it, started going to all the things. Flogging Molly's just coming out this time. Like I saw Dave King playing a guitar in front of an Irish festival. They were nobody. No one knew Flogging Molly. I knew of some of the other bigger bands. Dropkick Murphys weren't really big yet. I mean, it's just fun. I kind of came onto the scene at like the perfect time. And then I put together my own Irish band, the Humble Hooligans, the band Moot and I are still in. And we did the thing. We toured, we played in 2015, 317 shows, 14 countries, 11 states, toured all over. And like bands do, we fell apart. And it was drugs. It's always drugs for musicians. And so the big piece was, I was always the least talented member of the band, but I was the only person who had their shit together. And it's hard. So the band fell apart and I moved to Portland, and I've always wanted to play Rebel songs, but I couldn't justify it. Like when I was in Dublin in 2015 and I'm in O'Donoghue's, which is a very famous venue, and they have one of the best sessions, and this great banjo player, great singer, they're just doing their thing. And there's these 2 older American guys, and they are from Virginia, and they were just berating the musicians. And they're saying, play Fields of Athenry. And like in Ireland, Fields of Athenry it's a rebel song. Play Fields. And finally the lead guy's name was Roddy. He stands up and he goes, fuck it, play it. And he walked away. And so we played it, and I kept my mouth shut up to this point. And eventually, like, everyone in the bar was looking at these 2 idiot American older guys. They were for sure boomers. And they were kind of left uncomfortably. Like, their wives dragged them out of the bar. They're like, we need to go. And the banjo player turns to me and he goes, you want to do something? Because the lead guy hadn't come back yet. I'm like, I would love to. He goes, "Oh, shite, you're an American." And that's the problem. It's like Americans walk around thinking, I'm Irish. I'm not fucking Irish.
Yeah.
I have Irish heritage. But like for me to have the bollocks to go to Ireland and be like, "Hey, Sean, I'm Irish." You'd be like, you don't even know what it fucking means to be Irish. And that's the problem. So I was really humble. I said I would be honored. I played one of my favorite Luke Kelly songs, which is called The Hot Asphalt, which is a song about killing a police officer. But it's this intensely like driven thing for me to be connected to this culture. For me, it means everything because I felt like I didn't have that anchor that more that a lot of people get. You get raised and you're like, "Oh, we're proud to be Irish, or we're proud to be Scotch Irish, or we're proud to be American," whatever that looked like. I didn't have that. I went 20 years going, "Who the fuck am I?" And now I have just such a strong connection. Like when Sean calls me and goes, "Man, what are we going to fucking do about Palestine?" I feel it because it's like I belong to something and it matters. And then we get to make this matter even more. That's why I play this music, man. Like I love to play. Like I know a bajillion songs at this point. I play all these different instruments and it doesn't fucking matter.
That's why we play for free.
Yeah. I want to play here.
Yeah.
I want to do this music and it's so hard to separate myself from that. So that's what pulled me into the music. And I pulled Lauren in and I pulled Helmut in. And like, I want people who are kind of on this level. Like Lauren gets it. Like Lauren is a rebel. Like we are a rebel band filled with rebels. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I wax poetic, but this is it means something to have meaning behind what you're doing. Just like anything, like finding a purpose in your life. This is it. Like let's
and there's a kinship in shared experience, right? And when you have this shared experience of being othered or subjugated, it sort of holds a bond in that community. And I can see that. How'd you get started, Helmut, in music?
Me?
Yeah.
Drumline in the north side of Long Beach. The other side where Snoop Dogg grew up. It was an all-black school mostly, and I did drumline, and then between drumline, then got to go to play drumline at USC, and then Troy and I had a friend in common, and Troy needed a drummer in Long Beach, and I wasn't Irish, but Troy said, "I don't care. My drummer's a tweaker. I need a drummer." And that's where
I'd rather
I came
be
in.
Colombian than be a tweaker.
Yeah, I wasn't a tweaker, so that was number one. No, but I played Spanish rock before that, and my dad played drums in Colombia in a few bands, and it's just in my blood. I just finally found my sound with Troy, and then eventually with Sean.
Was it easy to transition between what you were playing before into what you're playing now?
Oh, that's a fun.
Oh,
so
very
since
easy.
you're calling out people telling stories, Moot, you should tell the story of how when I think you asked him, "Can you get off a snare and play a full kit?" And what did you say?
Wait, what?
You know that story?
No, I'm not recalling.
If I could play a full snare or a kit?
And you said you didn't know because you'd never played a full kit, right?
Yeah, I was always drumline.
Yeah.
And I always tell people I'm not a drum set player. I'm a snare player that learned how to kick the bass drum. That's it.
And that's bullshit now.
Yeah, like he's very, very good.
Yeah,
Put
after
in the
like
time when
15
you've gotten
years,
that
yeah.
mixed up.
Yeah, I can do two notes on the bass drum now. So I'm okay.
And you all are recording music coming up?
Yeah, we just finished. It should be. Troy just finished it there now. We should be shooting off down.
Finish all the mixing. We go into mastering tomorrow.
8 tracks, yeah.
Yeah.
What was that
songs.
like?
So it's kind of funny. And I mean, everyone in the band knows this, but like, I'm really particular about our music and almost like protective. And I've never had a great studio experience because people just don't know how to capture our sound. And so Sean had a lot of faith in me. 3 years ago, we recorded our first project and I was the producer. And we put together a project I'm proud of for our first project. It's called Frayed and Torn. It was good. It wasn't great. It felt stiff, especially now in context, because we've learned so much, right? Like you do it and then you do it again. It felt a little bit stiff, but we started there and we've had some really great opportunities, but we just keep coming back to this idea that like when we control it, it sounds like us. And we are a live band. We're not a band that's going to go into studio and create some overproduced, like
we're not Tool.
Our album. Yeah. Well, but it's not that. Like, I don't think Tool's not overproduced to me, but there is that kind of idea of production and time invested. And so we did a project that I was really proud of, Saoirse. And we had this idea because we
released that last year.
I wanted to find a way for us to sound like we sound. Like
yeah.
The live shams sound, people stop and people listen. And so what we did, I said, we're going to record a live album.
Yeah.
And we're just going to
chat away. I'm going to keep an eye. Sorry, I have a golden retriever. I don't want microphones falling all over the place here.
We
see that?
Like that?
Like there's the golden retriever.
It's going to go again. It's going to go again.
That's fine. It's fine.
Sorry.
So long and short, the Saoirse, the album, we picked 14 songs and we were going to take 2 takes for each and we're going to take the best take.
Yeah.
So mistakes and all, it's in.
Yeah.
And we were in bass transition, so we didn't have a bass player. And so the only thing we did not record live on that was the bass. So Sean, Josh, Moot, and myself got into a room and I put up as much blocking between, like we put this, one of those kind of like Asian trifold, like room dividers for Sean. So he was singing into a kind of an enclosed space. Helmut was at one end of the room. I was at the other facing a window. Josh was facing across. Like we were really trying to like keep it as clean as possible. And Saoirse was born from this idea that we want to just capture what our live sound
in
is.
our house, by the way.
Okay.
Like, this is not a studio.
Yeah, it's not,
like,
it was,
this is a basement carpeted room.
Yeah.
Like
we're not the
that's
Beatles.
how home.
Yeah.
No.
That's how homegrown this was. Literally,
It's just this idea that we could make something really good, and we spent $600 on the whole project because we bought Sean a high-end vocal mic. So we bought the SM7B, and you probably know about mics just being a podcast guy. But so we had this great mic, and now we're going direct, and we played live, and it was awesome. We had to come back and retrack all the bass, which was very fun for me because I play bass, and I never get to play bass on these songs, but I love playing the bass. And a friend of mine came into town, and he is a member of the American Wake, the original
was your
member.
neighbor that turned you on to Irish
and he's
music.
a big lefty, and I had him play a tune on the album. And then I saved a song for Lauren because I identified in Lauren the ability to play bass, even though she didn't know it. Lauren approached playing metal guitar like a bass player. And so a year and a half ago, Christmas, I bought Lauren this bass for Christmas, the one you show it to the camera. And it's a lefty because she's a lefty. More importantly, she's got these tiny little hands. And so it's got a short scale. And so I said, why don't you play on this album? And that was basically like the drug that got Lauren into this.
The recording, the song on the album wasn't. I had a lot of anxiety and felt like it sounded like crap. It was playing in San Quentin that I was like, I want to be on stage now.
And that was it. So we created this live album, and then we got to tour it basically. And tour for us, it didn't mean the same thing as some of these national acts. I mean, we played these songs and sold this album at all of our gigs for the last year.
Yeah.
And it just, we knew we wanted to do something special for the big convention. And so this new project, I had some new things I wanted to try out. And what we did was we tried to capture the live feel, even though we didn't do a live album.
Dogs, man.
Yeah, man.
Dogs.
Okay.
You're a hot mess. She's fine.
Trixie.
Let her just be.
Yeah, she's fine.
I think she wants to go outside.
Oh.
She's a little bollocks.
So, long and short, finished mixing literally yesterday morning.
Okay.
Then it goes into mastering. Mastering process is so much different. Like, you used to have to pay people to master. Now you run it through an AI software and it bounces levels. And then we go into production. Josh has done the artwork. And a shout out to Josh. He's not here today. He's feeling really sick. But the artwork's very fun. And we're going to release this EP. And then if everything goes well and it seems to be on track, we're going to be doing another album here. And this will be the first potentially all original Shams album, probably depending on time and availability of all of our players and stuff, probably being released by December.
Well, and the it's still tentative. We still have to get all the things figured out, but we are hopefully going to record an album of our performance in the Washington State Penitentiary, which is in
that
2
would be
weeks.
This month.
We have permission.
How did you all end up with, like, I do want to talk about that because that is amazing that you all are doing this. How did that come to be?
Well, no, it needs to start with Sean.
Yeah, so talk about
Talk about how you got us into San Quentin.
Well, I just want to call up San Quentin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I seen Johnny Cash done it and Metallica and all that. So I called up the prison on a Tuesday and I was like, I want to talk to somebody about playing in your prison. And they're like, who are you? So I was like,
Yeah.
it's Paul Daly here, you know? So she says, let me transfer you to somebody. So this woman come on the phone. She was like, right, why do you want to play in San Quentin? Well, it's just Johnny Cash done it. Metallica done it. I says, why can't I, you know? She says, right, send me in your information. So I was like, okay. So I sent all the information and she got back to me. She says, we'd love to have you here. So that was like...
It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
So Sean calls me and I'm in Columbia visiting Helmut for the first time. I'd never been to Columbia. And Sean's like, hey, can you call this lady and talk to her about our band playing in the prison? I'm like, okay.
What?
So I call Maddie and she's like, I am so excited. I'm like, great. I'm like, what do you need? She's like, you know, just follow the rules, blah, 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 get everything in. So we did. And then, so we go and we have no idea what to expect. I mean, none.
No.
And like, we're big time walking in the prison, big balls. Like, we're all dressed in head to toe black. We're like, yeah, it's a hot,
100 degrees.
hot day.
You're in the sun the whole time.
So we get there and we brought a couple friends who were going to play with us who weren't members of the band. They were members of the old Shams violin player and stuff. And so we get there and we get in pretty easily. And then we go up to this big gate and they're like, ID, and we give them an ID and they're like, you got your gear? I'm like, yep. They didn't open my mandolin case. They didn't look at anything the first year. Like, I mean, they just let me. I could have smuggled in
ramen noodles.
Yeah. I mean, all of the ramen.
Good save, Sean.
Then you go into this kind of like transitional.
It's called a Sally Port.
Lauren knows this and she's going to explain why, but you go through the Sally Port. So it's a big gate, heavy gate that's open, but the gate in front of you is closed. And then it closes behind you. It's like there's this big formality and you got to put your ID on the window. ID is currency, right? And then they open it. And then we walk out into like the prettiest little church courtyard you've ever seen. You would not know you're in a prison. There's like planters and flowers and a cross over here where the chapel was, which we learned that's where Johnny Cash had recorded his live performance and all things. And then
we jumped into the back of a truck.
Well, hold on. Before that, the only thing that would like make you think it was a prison is there's a very ominous word on the left-hand side of this building that says adjustment. I'm like, it's either a chiropractor's office or that's like the hole, right? And so we learned while we were walking in to the left of the hole, that was death row. That's all. And you can't see anything, but that's adjustment. And then they're like, do you want to walk down or you want to get in the back of a truck? And like, we're lazy and it's hot and we're dumb and we all wore like black clothes, no hats, no, like we're just roasted. Yeah. And we jumped in the back of the truck.
And no sunglasses. And we're like...
And we could have brought sunglasses.
Yeah.
We didn't know. And talk about once we got in the truck.
So we just jumped into the truck and we turned this corner and it was like the Shawshank Redemption. I swear to God, it was just like...
There were 1,500 inmates on the yard. We didn't know what to expect. No one told us what to expect.
Yeah.
and it was their day of peace. So everyone's kind of given like special clearance to kind of just mill about. We come down, and like I know, like I jaw dropped, and it was just like, whoa.
We didn't want eye contact with any of the prisoners, you know what I mean? It was like, where's the sunglasses? Yeah.
Except for our guitar player, and this was Matt, who I was talking about earlier. He's just like, hi, how's it going? How you doing? Hey, buddy, how's it going? I'm just like, dude, Matt is awesome. And he was like kind of diffusing the whole situation. And we get down there, and like there's a little stage. It's on the yard. It's baking in the sun. There's like a guy with a large rifle up to my right in a tower. There's uniformed officers. There's definitely like certain like outfits, and people kind of like fit into those groups. Like certain guys only were wearing orange, all kind of stayed together. Guys in blue, guys in denim, guys in gray. Like there's this like almost like a color clique. And
they're all walking around with their commissary. What do you call it? Commissary, isn't it?
Commissary.
Commissary. Yeah, they're all
like
walking around
bags.
with little bags with their
Or their store. I go to store and buy their goods for the week. Yeah.
So we performed, and it was just
well, and it even more than that. Like we were talking to people before we played, and we met this guy Lou. I don't know his last name, don't know anything. And we were talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been in here since '74." I'm like, "You've been in here longer than I've been alive."
That's a long time.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm getting out. I'm like, he's like, I don't know what the hell to do.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. And like the thing that separated us from everyone else, there were like 6 other bands there. We're the only band that talked to anyone. We were like meeting
That's
people.
a shame.
Well, it is. I think part of it is, if I'm being honest, part of the reason people go play is the same reason Sean called. Johnny Cash did it.
You want to say that you were there. It's
I-
like if you have a degree
me
from
and
Harvard,
Metallica.
you get to say Harvard, you know.
And so,
Same thing.
but we went in with an open mind, and we met some great people. My San Quentin story, I met the sound guy. I didn't know this guy.
He's an incarcerated person.
Yeah. He's basically running the sound. He's incarcerated. He's in. And I was just talking to him. I go, hey, man, I used to have this board. And he goes, really? I said, can you teach me? I spent 30 minutes like going through all the functionality of this soundboard. And he's like, man, you are so cool. And that was it. And now last year was our 3rd year. Every year, Jerry's like, Troy, like Jerry. He's like, man. He's like, I'm so glad you guys came back. You don't know how much this means to all of us.
Yeah.
And like now we have an impact. And last year was meh.
the first year
The
we went
schedule was all
in.
messed
The first
up
year we
last
went in,
year.
we came out of prison. We couldn't
talk for
we
2
couldn't even
hours.
talk. Yeah, we
It's
couldn't
like
even-
a culture
We
shock.
went to lunch and we didn't speak. And we all had this unique experience. And there were 6 of us in the band at the time. And we were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we were bringing tear to a glass eye. I swear to God. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I think what people, I've worked in prisons for about 10 years, and especially places like San Quentin or Folsom or like Sing Sing that you've seen on TV a million times, and they have all these notorious stories and like, oh, this guy's serving time there and that guy's serving time there. And like Chapo Guzman is in the maximum in Colorado. Like, oh, I know about that place. They're going to build a tunnel, whatever. Is you get this tourist mindset about it if you don't know what you're doing, like you guys didn't the first year. And when you go in, you realize like people live here, people die here, people live their whole lives. I mean, 40 years this guy had been in, at least 50 years, about 50 years, and then he was getting out. And you try to like sit with that heaviness and the reality of like, what did you do that was so awful that got you that sentence? But also like, you're processing that like, oh, I'm talking to a human who's eager to learn something that I have to offer them. And like to go through all of those little epiphanies while you're not expecting to really interact with humans, you don't know what you're going to get into. And you have this tourist mindset of like going to a zoo, you know, or going to a foreign country. And then if you're a decent human, immediately you realize like I was out of line thinking that this was some tourist attraction, and the little chapel with the flowers is like,
to add to
that's
that,
the entrance, you know, like you have no idea
to add to that,
what it's like to live in a place like that.
Lauren's experience comes from a place of working within that. Like, we don't know shit.
Yeah.
Like, Sean and I have had this conversation many times. Like, we had no idea how wrong public perception of incarcerated people is.
Yeah.
And like Lauren's like, well, yeah, duh. I'm like, well, yeah, thanks, but I didn't have that experience.
I'm like, we're gonna go through a Sally port. I'm like, I've never even been here before, and I already know like what.
But she already knows the process. But like, so for us, it was that first time of like, there's a moment where the whistle blew and everyone dropped to the ground, and we're standing there like with our hands up our butts, going, "What do we do?" And they told us not to go down when they hear the whistle. You know, it's like there's so many things, and then people. This is where it got really fun that first time, is people had no idea about us, about Irish music. So we start playing, and the first song we play is a song that everyone kind of knows the tune of. It's Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Yeah.
But it's the SAM song. It's Surface to Air Missile song, rewritten by Sean's friends from Tyrone, the Irish Brigade. And in the song, Sean is mimicking shooting down helicopters. That's what the song is about.
And it's called A Day of Peace.
It's a Day of Peace event. And we finish that song and we look around and like, I don't care if you were black, if you were brown, if you were white, like everyone in the crowd is looking at us like, what the fuck did we just watch? Yeah. By the end of the set, we got guys square dancing. The warden is clapping and stomping to the beat. It was just this, it was so powerful. You know, like, I hate to say it because it sounds so fucking cliche, but like music transcends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It transcends. And Washington, Penn, this is all Lauren. It's all Lauren's baby, so you get to talk about that. I'm not going to say shit.
So after playing San Quentin and knowing all those stories, I came in and played. So it was my very first ever playing on a stage. My first ever playing with the band ever. I had never played with the Shams. I had never played.
She was guesting for one song.
I got up and I played. I think it was the second song in the set, and it was the one we just played. Take It Down from the Mast, and I was nervous, but not in like a stage fright way. It was just like, I have to get this right. Like, I have to just play the notes right. There's 3 notes in that song. Like, I can't mess this up. And my hand cramped up and it's hot as balls and I'm just sweating. Like, there's just sweat dripping all over my bass. But I got done and immediately was like, I don't want to get off the stage. Like, I don't care that my hand hurts. I don't care that like, I can't hear myself playing. I don't care that people are starting to leave because it's 8,000 degrees outside. I don't care if I get sunburned. Like this, I want to do this. And it was a really awesome, for me personally, way to be inducted into performance because of prison and because of my background as a corrections education teacher. And so like if I had first played at Kells, I would have died. Like I would have freaked out. I wouldn't have played well because it was a prison, which is weird to say. Like nobody, I think, in the world can share that story. Like, well, yay for me!
They're a built-in crowd. They can't leave, so you're not going anywhere.
Like we're just gonna play.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm hooked, and I want to do this. And I think it was about a month and a half later that we really entertained me becoming the bass player. But then I asked the guys. We take kind of a break around the holidays and don't do a lot of shows except for New Year's Eve. I said, you guys, we could do more prison shows up here because I worked in Washington DOC for 7 years. And like, I know people and can see which one would be open to this. Do you want to do more prison stuff? And they were like, yeah, it's awesome. Like we love San Quentin. Let's branch out and do other shows. So we talked to Oregon State Penn and they had some gatekeepery red tape. Like the status quo says, we don't have staff for this. So I said, fine, I'm not even going to bother. Washington State Penn, I know the old dean who used to run the corrections ed program there from when I was in corrections ed. She's like, Penn and superintendent's awesome. Like they're really open to this kind of thing. Contact this guy. So I contacted that guy, got an immediate positive response. And they're like, what are y'all about? Kind of the same story Sean had. Like, I want to see your music, see your links. And so I sent them all the things and they were like, let's do it. Let's find a date. Let's work out logistics. And then because the Penn is in Walla Walla, which is not close, it's going to cost a lot to like lodge us and drive. And we have to bring a PA. We have to bring every piece of equipment. Like there's nothing. And so I also booked, like I called every bar in Kennewick. I called every bar in Walla Walla. I called even towns that aren't close, just on the way. Like I looked at Cascade Locks. I looked at Hood River. and finally got a couple of gigs lined up just to kind of support us financially to justify the trip.
Yeah.
And then because we have this fundraiser show coming up on the 31st that benefits the Rebel Academy, which you have a different episode about that. That's 2 weeks after we play in the Pen. So I had got a hold of the news. I have a friend who works at KGW. I'm like, do you want to help promote this event? And they're like, actually, we want to send a crew into the Pen to put that on the news and promote the show 2 weeks later in Portland. I'm like, how can I argue with that? Let's do all the things. And then we got approval through DOC to actually record the performance audio wise. So if all of this actually works out, we'll get to go play in the Pen on the 17th, it's a Saturday. We will have the news there to do a story. We will be able to record the performance, make an album out of that, and then also get that promotion on TV to boost the fundraiser on the 31st at the old church. And that all comes from, my career in corrections ed. That's what the Rebel Academy is piggybacked off of and is a direct result of. And the correlation between, just oppression and a broken incarceration system and mass incarceration in this country, and the stories of prisoners in Ireland and people being locked up for no reason except that they were Irish. Like there's some parallel stories there. Yeah. And so it seemed to make sense to me. And since the guys were on board, I'm like, I'm going to run with this until, as long as I can.
Because one of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand is, given that timeline of people in prison, right? If you've been in there 10 years, you're basically robbed of a good portion of your life, and you're a different human after 10 years. And I don't know why punishments exceed that.
To what Troy said too about the guy who said he's getting out, Jerry, I think you said his name is. And
that was
Lou. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. That was very common for me to hear. I had students when I taught at Larch who I had a guy who'd been in for 40 years. And at the time that was longer than I'd been alive too. And he still didn't have a GED, because when you're doing that much time and you're in a class and you're not going to self-advocate and insist that you get the resources you need to pass this test, especially after 2014 when it changed and became harder and you're held to the standards of current 18-year-olds and you're in your 60s. This guy had gotten some of the tests done but couldn't pass the math. And so he landed in my classroom with 6 months to the gate, 6 months till release. He's in his 60s. He's done 40 years. And I'm like, you're not even going to have a GED if I don't do my job. And I pushed and I worked with him and I tutored him one-on-one and we kept him after class, and he wanted to do it desperately and he couldn't do it. He didn't pass it before getting out. And it was the only time I think I ever cried at my desk at work, because again, like, there's no training for this. Yeah. That's what my dissertation's about. There is no training to go in and to be prepared for stories like that and to feel the responsibility as an educated, privileged white lady who gets to go home every day to be possibly what is between this man and a successful future or coming back. Because the gate closing behind them, the longer the time, the more you hear these guys and women say, like, I am not afraid to be here. I'm afraid of leaving because I don't know what's out there for me. I haven't been out there in 40 years, 30 years. And there's a Shawshank Redemption reference, right? Like the one guy goes and kills himself because he can't adjust. And Morgan Freeman saying, get busy living or get busy dying. Like, I feel like that's a lesson for all, but I can't think of where that's more relevant than in a corrections space. And you have these guys hungry for that knowledge and hungry to get it right. And when you do that much time, just what are the odds? What are the odds?
Well, even there, even there, it's just, I seen yesterday, a guy was, talking about, kneecap and all that and stuff like that. But he says there's more prisoners in California than there was at the Coachella Festival.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
There's more prisoners in California than there was at Coachella. And how many goes to Coachella?
Yeah. California, well, our whole country is now based on privatized prisons. I mean, it's a for-profit industry. There's
I'm glad I'm not in neither of those places.
Yeah.
Louisiana has a higher incarceration rate as a state than any other country in the world.
Yeah.
And about 85% of those guys are black.
Well, this is again a really good point. That's Louisiana. I was always said, like, you think about everyone in prison's black. That's what I thought. I thought disproportionate. San Quentin was really white. Really white.
And when he mentioned that before I went in and I said like there's a disproportionate number of people of color, not everybody gets to go to the show.
And
right?
you also
so the guys in the hole,
interesting.
The guys who are on lockdown, the guys who are in medium, the guys who are on death row, those guys aren't out on the yard getting to watch music. And when we go play in the pen, we're playing in the minimum yard.
Yeah, they didn't put us
So
in
we're going to
medium.
have a lot of white guys, and it's going to look like, there's a lot of white guys in prison too. And again, that whole pitting, like, first of all, who cares? Like, does it, you see a bunch of white guys and you have to make a point about it. Like you're missing the point. And two, you're not seeing the full population, and that's intentional.
Yeah.
That's
even that old guy, remember he had 3 strikes. You know what I mean? I think he stole a bike and he stole a slice of pizza, something petty.
He's been thrown away.
25 years ago, for 3 strikes.
We have, and most bands don't do this for school, but we have a song about prison. We should play that. Back home in Daly.
Okay.
Wanna do that?
Yeah, please.
So we'll play this tune. Let's talk about the history of the song, because this is big.
Yeah.
You might recognize it. It's the same tune to Gordon Lightfoot's Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Okay.
So in 1981, 10 Irishmen were arrested. Basically, no trial.
Under Maggie Thatcher,
Yeah. Maggie Thatcher is one of the worst things that could have ever happened to the Irish people. And kind of the leader of the group, his name was Bobby Sands. And Irish historically are song-based people, right? So what Bobby Sands did was he rewrote the lyrics. Because the tune to the Wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald was very popular. Gordon Lightfoot was out. It's the late 70s, early 80s. And he wrote about the incarceration of Irish peoples being sent to Van Diemen's Land, which is now Australia, right? And so the song, it's very, very popular, but it's called Back Home in Daly. And the song talks about being put on a boat, being sent down to Australia. How the author of the song, Bobby Sands, wrote kind of the voice survived, his friends didn't. It's kind of it's a big deal. And this is a song that's
heavy.
Yeah, I love to play this too.
Well, that's why they went on hunger strike, because they didn't want to wear a prisoner's uniform.
Yeah.
Because they were classed as POWs. But Maggie Thatcher classed them as terrorists and criminals. So that's how they went on a hunger strike. You know.
Wow.
But the song's called Back Home in Daly. In 1803 we sailed out to sea, out from the showy town of Derry. For Australia bound, though we didn't all drown, on the marks of our feathers we carried. And our rusty iron chains we signed for our wains, our good wives though we left in sorrow. As the mainsail unfurled, we curse word a-hurled on the English of thoughts of tomorrow. At the mouth of the foyle, bid farewell to the soil. Down below decks we were lying, all already scream, woken out of a dream by the vision of bold Robert dying. The sun burned us cruel as we dished out the gruel. Dan O'Connor was down with the fever. 60 rebels today bound for Botany Bay. How many would reach their receiver? Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. I cursed them to hell as they fought through the swell, or shipped as I got off in the firelight. White horses rode high as the devil passed by.
taking its soul by the twilight. 5 weeks out to sea, we were now 43. Our comrades we buried each morning. In our own little slime, we were lost in the time of the endless the night without dawning. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Van Diemen's Land was a hell for a man to live out his whole life in slavery, where the climate is raw and the gun makes the law, neither the wind or the bravery. 20 years have all gone, I have ended my bond, and comrades and ghosts walk behind me. A rebel I came, I will die just the same, on the cold winds of night that you'll find me. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Bobby Sands, 10 Men. Chucky Arla.
It's beautiful.
And also sober.
Yeah.
I think Helmut's a bit sober there, looking over. You all right there, Helmut?
I want to get a drink, but I'll wait it out.
Yeah.
So I came across these lyrics that I just wanted to sort of say to you because just sort of when I heard them moved me to like investigate more. And it's from the perspective of a gentleman from Raze. And he's like, ever since I was a boy in Raze and became aware of the difference between the history I read in books and the oral accounts I heard around me, I have been very skeptical of what might be called received history. The million people, for instance, who died in Ireland in the 19th century, the million more who had to emigrate, the thousands of families forced from their homes in the highlands and islands. Why was that? Famine? Overpopulation? Improvement? The Industrial Revolution? You see, not many of these people understood such words. They knew only Gaelic. But we know now another set of words. Clearance, empire, profit, exploitation. And today we live with the bitter legacy of that kind of history. We have, I think, a deep sense of generation and community, but this has been in so many ways been broken. We have a history of resistance, but now mainly in the songs that we sing. Because the reality is our children now are bred for emigration.
It was a genocide, yeah. It was never a famine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a genocide.
I don't think people understand that.
No.
Like, if you listen to what the books say about that history, it's just heartbreaking.
Very sad, you know what I mean? But I'm just, at the end of the day, we're the most loved population now in the world, you know what I mean? Compared to English, you know what I mean? Like, we go anywhere in the world, you've Irish bars everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to Thailand, you go to Australia, you go to
Hawaii.
Anywhere, you know what I mean? We're Irish, we're everywhere, you know what I mean? Because we're at the classes at the end of the day, or the fighting Irish and all that, you know what I mean? But we're just happy people, man, you know what I mean? It's the same as when we play football. When Ireland goes to play Japan or Germany, they all mingle together and have sessions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Compared to when the English go.
A session being
just drinking and having a good time. Yeah.
An acoustic.
No.
You're not talking about musically?
Yeah, just like gathering.
Just gathering and having fun together. You know what I mean? We're two teams just playing.
Rugby's the same. Like when the Irish go, and the Irish do get a bad rap, and you will get like places saying, "Oh, you got the Irish tourists," but like ultimately, as a culture, as a people, the Irish are beloved, which allows us to have the conversations we're having with you, Sean.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, if we were right now sitting here saying, oh, we're a Palestinian band, we would alienate a lot of the listenership just because that's not in fashion. But no one goes, oh, the Irish. It's like, that's why we use the platform, because we are a beloved culture.
I think that's the song we should do, is The Hunger. I think we should.
It'd be really hard. Can we do it next time? Sean, can we come back?
Yeah.
And have another.
Of course.
Like we got plenty of stories.
He's gonna be in Vegas. Like,
yeah, we should do this in Vegas. I really want Josh to be part of this too.
Yeah.
Two, I really don't want to play guitar because I don't play guitar in the band. Like,
yeah,
he's just holding it down, so there's like a mid-range.
Josh
something.
is our guitar player.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be like ding ding ding,
Yeah,
mandolin
I get
and me
that.
on bass.
I want to play Mando, man. This is my jam. And
Why don't you grab it and you could just.
Well, what if we do one more song and kind of wrap up for today? What if we did Oro?
What if we did Bella Ciao and you could play mandolin?
Oh, I think we should do Oro and I'll play mandolin.
You'll play mandolin for that? Great. I just want you to get to
So-
play mandolin.
yeah.
We grab it. Well,
Yeah, sure.
And while you're doing that, I do want you to expand on your thought you were just talking about.
Oh, I mean, now it's kind of awkward to segue it, but the quote or the lyrics you were reading also speak to the value of experiential history versus textbook history. And that's kind of what I was speaking to earlier, that, you know, the proletariat and the folk people, like the citizens, the blue collar people, the people living the history. And this is not just true of the Irish. This is true of any people anywhere, that, you know, it's often educated white men authoring the textbooks, and that the stories from, you know, the villages and the hillsides and what in any culture, right? Whether it's Palestine or the north of Ireland or Native American peoples or South American peoples, Aztec, Inca, whatever, that there's this sort of like skepticism that's really like, oh, I didn't read that in a textbook. So is that really like, is that legit history, or is that just like what your grandma told you? I'm like, what if it is what my grandma told me? Because she was there.
Right.
And white dude in Boston wasn't there. So why are you even questioning, right? And so I think that's what that really speaks to. And again, I think that music is a really awesome casualized way to bring people into, like, ask Sean. He was there.
Well, it's reading it in a book and growing up in it. I grew up in it. You know what I mean? I lost friends. I was murdered by the British forces. You know what I mean? So when you grow up in it and see it yourself, you know what I mean? It's like your sisters, because you're, you know, you see young girls going to school and their skirt lifted up by a rifle by the British forces. You know what I mean? Because they were Catholic. You know what I mean? It's the same as the Shankill Butchers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people criticize the IRA because they were a terrorist organization. But the IRA was only one organization against 15 organizations that were death squads to kill Catholics. And not even IRA supporters, just because you're a Catholic. You know what I mean? There was a guy, the Lenny Murphy, and he was the Shankill Butchers. But he was driving around in a taxi and going into Catholic areas. And your grandfather leaving a bar in a Catholic area was brought into a car and his throat cut just because he was Catholic.
Just because he was Catholic and
you know,
Irish.
there's another guy.
There's songs about this, like many songs about this.
We sing happy songs, but there's a lot of sad songs as well. You know what I mean?
And it's not just that. Like that's a pure spirit of the Irish. Like we'll turn anything into a song, and we might be singing about the most horrible shit, and it's happy.
Yeah.
And here's the point that I like to come full circle. I'm working on a doctorate degree. I have a master's degree. I went to University of Oregon, Oregon State University. Now I'm at Arizona State University. I had a 4.0 in high school, graduated with honors, I speak 3 languages. I didn't know about this until I joined the damn band. What does that tell you about a person with, you know, all the degrees, all the education? And I could tell you about world history in South America because I studied that. I studied Spanish, so that was part of it. But to get to learn these things because of the music is such a powerful and universally available method to inform, like, yes, it's about politics. Politics are what drove the damn song to be written in the first place. And until, as a listener, if you're just there to party and drink and you don't understand the lyrics, like there's a place for you too. Like enjoy, buy the merch, pretend like you know the words, sing along sort of, and go away fine. That's okay. Like you're still part of it. You're still in the scene for that.
And no judgment.
But no judge. Like I was that person. I was that fan. Flog Molly, like yay Irish stuff, whatever. Dropkick Murphys, yay Boondock Saints. That was me. But then to be open to like, well, what is a song about? And have that conversation with Sean.
Well, that's why I'm in America.
Like,
that's why
I was there, and this is what it means to me. Oh,
Sean is
this
here.
isn't just entertainment. Like this is real people's lives.
Sean is here because his parents forced him to move here.
My mother handed me $100 bill. I had no trade. I was 18 years of age when I arrived in New York City. I had $100 to my name. I had a flight and $100, and my mother was like, "Get out of here."
It was to save his life.
Yeah,
because Sean,
I wanted to fight. Yeah. You know, I wanted to fight for my country. You know what I mean? And that's why I sing these songs today. And you know, we've all problems. Everybody's got problems. You know what I mean? When we get on that stage, I leave that problem on the other side of the stage.
Yeah,
we put a show on. You know what I mean? To show people that what we mean, what we're singing. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes. You know, and I'm proud to sing these songs. And if nobody likes it, I really don't give two monkeys. Fuck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this next song, we do in Irish. It's the only song we do in Irish. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Because Sean's generation, they didn't have access to Irish. This young generation now, it's bringing it back. It's very cool. But still. Yeah. And when we introduce a song on stage, we say, you know, it's the only song we do in Irish. And Sean says, blame the Queen for that.
Do you have your bell rung?
It's out the back of my car. Should I get it?
Why not?
I think you should get it. Yeah.
While he does, I will talk about the song. So the song is called Oro de Shawacha Willia. And this song used to be a welcoming home song for newlywed couples. It's kind of like, welcome home. The home has now changed. And now it's a call to bring back Irish heroes because so many Irish have left Ireland. And there's going to be a couple words that you'll hear. So Oro predicates. That's kind of the chorus is built on this Oro de Shawacha Willia. But it also talks about Grace O'Malley, the famous Irish woman pirate. It's just kind of bring back those historical figures. There's a lot of that in Irish song. And so when we play this song, I was really I wanted to drive this song for our band. I wanted us to do it. But I wanted to do it authentically because none of us in the band are fluent in Irish. And that's another thing that... Yeah, you could. Another thing that Americans get wrong a lot of time, they call it Irish Gaelic. It's not. It's Irish.
Okay.
And there's Scottish. And there's Welsh. But it's not Gaelic. Like, there's commonalities. But Irish is Irish. And that's the appropriate way to talk about it. And so in learning this song, I wanted to do it justice to the best of our ability. So... the tune that you're going to hear in the beginning of it doesn't have a name, but it's the same tune that the Dubliners originally played on their version. And the pronunciation is kind of a cross between the Dubliners and Sheolin, which is kind of the young up-and-coming all-Irish musical group. They only do songs in Irish, only. And so this is kind of our homage to that. We are actually working on adding a couple of Irish tunes to the list, but we got to get our original music out first. So,
and what instruments do you have, Sean?
Hey, this is called the bodhrán, the Irish drum.
Love it.
So this drum actually comes from Persia, and the difference between the Persian's drum, which is also called a frame drum, and the Irish is the tipper. That's what Sean's holding. It's a double-sided drumstick, and so you can get multiple sounds. And Sean can change the tonality of the drum by moving his hand up and down.
I'm still learning.
He's come a long way, though. It's pretty cool. Yeah. He can sing and play. And I'm now playing mandolin, this is the instrument I play in the band. So
yes, Josh, you ready?
Yeah, Helmut's gonna play guitar.
I'm still playing the upside down snare.
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Anish der Hakon Tauri.
She the valve in Balin with the way a grab the way ye van the Buhavra shell of Merlot. Stutil Dalishne Gali.
Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Anish der Hakon Tauri.
Takrunya Welek Shock der Sulya Ugly or them Haley Morkarda Yelid Fancy from the Nachbani Squarey Ruiger Gale.
Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Anish der Hakon Tauri.
Avrilari on Vargo Vecum Onamimyo and Yak Shoktan Ranya Wela Gashmila Pushya Egg Forgesh Farnel Gali.
Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Anish der Hakon Tauri. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Oh, road shade of a while ya. Anish der Hakon Tauri.
Let's end it there.
Yeah.
No.
And I want to close on this because I think it's important. This has been the most amazing interview to date. This has been awesome.
We hear that all the time.
I really am
Till the next
honored.
one.
Yeah.
I will not disappoint with guests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom tells me all the time. So it must be true.
Helmut's mom tells him that all the time.
Big shout out.
You need a fan somewhere, Moot.
And a big shout out to Sean here from what's the river? What's the
Sullivan's Unheard Voice.
Sullivan's Unheard Voices.
Sullivan's.
Yeah.
Read his school shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Sullivan's Unheard Voices.
Now,
Yeah.
we have to ask, how do you spell your first name?
SHAWN.
Yeah, it's
American
not the way.
spelling.
Yeah.
American spelling.
Yeah.
But you
It,
came.
it
you
was
came.
it was a huge fight between my father and my mother, actually.
That's funny. Oh, how are you going to spell Sean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna spell it so Sean's girls all have Irish names, and both of my kids have Irish names. My son's name is the American spelling of Declan.
Yeah.
So it's Declan, but it's actually Declan. It's Deaglan if you spelled it Irish. And you got 3 Irish girls, and I've got 1. So really important for us to kind of keep the culture alive and keep the names going.
Yes, that's what it's all about. We're Irish in this country. Yeah, that's it. You know, that's why I'm here nearly 30 years, and I met a good friend of mine. He has a band back in Ireland, you know, and I met him at the Rory Gallagher Festival. And he was like, Jesus Christ, man, you still have your accent. I was like, man, I don't want to lose my fucking accent. You
No.
know what I mean? No.
No.
You know, because I didn't go over in a boat and come back in a plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 I love it.
But anyway, pleasure meeting you, Sean. Thanks very much for...
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Do it again,
appreciate
yeah.
you being
Be
here.
kind, everybody. And remember, there is no peace without shared power. So,
Free the people.
free the
Chuck
peace.
your
Chuck your law.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later, Helmut.